Hello, Mr. Price here, and this is the second video for the summer term 2 focus on circumference of circles. Okay, I'm going to show the answers to the various questions. Take your time to tick the ones that you get correct. Any ones that you didn't get correct or you're not quite sure about, force forward to that bit of the video and just watch my explanations. Okay, so here are the answers to section 1. So we had 22 centimeters for this one, or 22.0, 23.6, 12.9, 7.1, and 26.5. And then for section 2, you should have got both 126 centimeters and 132, depending on your value of pi. And then finally, this one should have been 7.96. Okay, so let's have a look at how we do each individual question. So we'll first focus with this circle here. So I'm going to start off by drawing a quick sketch of my shape, and I've been told that the diameter is 7 centimeters. Now, I know to calculate the circumference, it's pi multiplied by the diameter. That's something you just need to remember. Okay, so in this case, my diameter is 7 centimeters. So the circumference is pi times 7. And then I don't have any further calculations to do, so that'll be my final answer. So I'm going to do 7 pi on the calculator, and that gives me 21.99. Now I want my answer to 1 decimal place, so I'm going to look back at my calculator. The 0.9 is my first decimal place. It's more than halfway on the next number, so this rounds up to a 0, and the 1 goes to my next column, so 22.0 centimeters, and I must say what I've rounded to 1 decimal place. Okay, let's have a look at number 2. So this time I have this circle with a radius of 15 centimeters. So number 2, I have a full circle with a radius of 15 centimeters. So once again, C equals pi times diameter. My radius is 15, so my diameter is double that. So my diameter is 15 times 2, which is 30 centimeters, because I want the whole way around. Okay. So the circumference is 30 pi. I've got no more calculation to do with that, so 30 pi on my calculator gives me 24.2477. So the 0.2 is my first decimal place. The next number is less than halfway, so it rounds down to 94.2 centimeters, 1 decimal place. Okay, question 3. This time I have a fractional circle here of 180 degrees. So I'm going to draw my diagram. We have 180 degrees, and my diameter was 5. So once again, C of the whole circle is pi times diameter. So the diameter of the whole circle would be 5. So C whole equals 5 pi. Now, I want to know what fraction of a circle this is. So some of you will instantly be able to see that it's a half a circle, but for those that aren't too sure, it's 180 out of a full circle, 360. And you've got 2 choices here. You can spot that both go into 180, or you can just put that into your calculator, 180 over 360, and I'll also tell you it's half. So the circumference of half a circle is 5 pi times by 2, times by half, or just 5 pi over 2. Okay, I'm going to go through that bit in a little bit more detail. So if you multiply by a fraction, what I've kind of done here, and this you wouldn't normally do as working out, but what's happened here is I've got 5 pi multiplied by a half. So I want to find a half of the circumference, which is 5 pi, and of means multiply. Okay, now to do this, I can turn this into a fraction by doing this. So 5 pi divided by 1 is still 5 pi. So this is as a fraction. Okay, and to multiply fractions, I multiply the top and I multiply the bottom. So the top becomes 5 pi times 1, or just 5 pi, and the bottom becomes 1 times 2, or just 2 at the bottom. Okay? So the circumference of half the circle is 5 pi over 2, but I also want to include this bottom piece here. Okay, because I know this curved bit, I now need this bottom bit, so I need to add on that 5 to get my perimeter of the whole shape. So the perimeter is 5 pi over 2, add 5, which I can now do on my calculator. 5 pi over 2 times by, plus 5. Okay, and now I can put in my final answer, 12.9 centimeters to 1 decimal place. Okay, the next one I'm going to do a bit more quicker, so I'm not going to explain this bit this time. So for 4, once again, I made that look a little bit like a triangle, which I shouldn't have done. So I've got a right angle there. It has a 2 centimeter radius. So C whole equals pi d. The diameter is this time 4. Okay, because this is the radius, so double that is 4. So C whole equals 4 pi. And then I want C of a quarter of it, because I've got a quarter of the circle. So 90 over 360, divide top and bottom by 90, 1 over 4. So circumference of the quarter circle is 4 pi over 4. And I've got common factors top and bottom of 4, so those cancel to just give pi. So finally, the perimeter is pi plus this length and this length, so plus 4. And that gives 7.1415, so 7.1 to 1 decimal place. Centimeters. And last one. Okay, so I've got an internal angle of 12 degrees. It's 12 centimeter radius. So C whole equals pi times diameter. The diameter is 24. 24 I mean, sorry, beg your pardon. So C equals 24 pi. Now I need to get the fraction of this, so it's 12 over 360. Okay, and I know that 12 is going to 36 3 times, so 12 into 360 must go 30 times, so 1 over 30. So circumference of a 30th of the circle is 24 pi over 30. Okay, I've got common factors top and bottom here. So I can see that 6 goes into both these numbers, I think. So divide top and bottom by 6. And I should get 4 over 5 pi. Okay, so I've just divided the top and the bottom by 6 to get 4 on the top and 5 at the bottom. And then finally my perimeter, I need to add on my 24. So 4 over 5 pi, add 24. And that gives me a final answer of 26.5. 1 decimal place. Okay, those were quite tricky. If you need to, go back to any of the 4 questions that I did there, 5 questions I mean, and go through it again, or come and see me in class. Sorry. So let's go to section 2 now. We're told that our value of pi has lots of different ways, so we can round it to 3 to one significant figure. We also know it's 3.14159 to 6 significant figures, and it's also approximately 22 over 7 as a fraction. Okay, so we want to calculate the circumference of this circle without a calculator. So we're going to use 2 easy ways of calculating that. So that's either using pi as 3, or approximately equal to 3, or we can use pi approximately equal to 22 over 7, where using this value will be a bit more accurate than using 3. So, using c equals pi d, using pi as a value of 3, thank you, I've got the circumference is equal to 3 times the diameter, which was 42. Okay, so then if I need to, I can very quickly do a sum here. So 42 multiplied by 3. So that's 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 40 is 120. So 126. So the circumference is 126 centimeters approximately. Okay, I can also use 22 over 7. So exactly the same thing. C equals pi d. My pi is 22 over 7 and my diameter is 42. So, doing just like I did for the previous question, like here, this is the same as doing 22 times 42 all divided by 7. So 22 times 42 all divided by 7. I'm going to look for common factors here. So I know that 42 goes into 7. So I can divide these two numbers by 7. So that becomes 1. And then 42 divided by 7 is 6. So my question now becomes 22 times by 6, which I can once again do very quickly. So 6 times 2 is 12. 6 times 20 is 120 plus the 1, so 132. So C is approximately equal to 132. Just out of curiosity, we'll also do the exact answer. So pi times 42. And it was actually 131.946. Do you see how close we were there? So actually this is a very good estimate for the circumference. Centimeters. Okay, and finally the last question, section C. Now, this time we're told the circumference and we want to calculate the radius. So, section C. So we know the circumference is 50 centimeters, but we don't know what the radius is. Okay, so let's start off with what we do know. So we've got C equals pi d. Okay, I want it in terms of the radius. So I know that a radius is the same as half the diameter. So I can change this d to be half. Sorry, the radius is half the diameter, or 2 lots of the radius gives me the diameter. So I can change this diameter to be 2r as well. But I'm going to leave that till the end actually, because I think that might be a little bit too confusing. So, I know the circumference is 50. So 50 will be equal to pi multiplied by the diameter. So pi multiplied by something gives me 50. So to get d by itself, I want to divide both sides by pi. Okay, so this will leave me with the diameter. So 50 divided by pi is 15.915. But we want the radius, so we just want to halve our answer here to get the radius. So we divide that by 2, So the radius is 7.958 to 3 decimal places. Oops, sorry. Okay, so step 1, get your formula. Then substitute in your values. So 50 is equal to pi d. So to get d by itself, to work out the diameter, we divide both sides by pi. So 50 divided by pi is 15.915. But to get the radius, we halve our diameter, so that's 7.958. Okay, I hope that was helpful, and I'll see you in class.